Hey there, everybody. With Into the Inklands, I think Amber got some new aggressive tools that I'm pretty excited to try out, and I still think that Amethyst is the best color to pair it with as far as a super linear aggro deck, so that's what I've done here. And yeah, the new tools I'm most excited to try are Piglet, which quests for 3, Wendy, which is a 2-quester for 2 that actually has a chance of surviving through some challenges, Blue, which is a bodyguard that always gets you 2 lore when it is taken out, so you can use it as a sacrificial lamb that still gets you 2 lore, which is really, really nice. And I'm also trying 4 copies of Neverland, just as another 1-drop that sort of acts as an aggressive card that attacks on a completely different axis than your other characters, right? This survives through board wipes and stuff, while also just giving us an absolutely critical mass of 1-drops. And then sort of secondarily, I'm trying Kita here. I think that the ability from Shift Kita is decent in an aggro deck because it can let you quest multiple times with some characters. You have this Kita sitting in play, you shift this, and it shrinks all of your opponent's characters so they can't challenge you when you turn your otherwise very, very weak characters sideways. So that's here to give that a try as well. And then the rest of the deck is the sort of stuff you would expect from previous sets, right? For Lilo, for Maleficent, very aggressive. Pascal, hard to deal with, of course. Simba does some protecting along with Baloo. The bounce package here in for Metamim Snake, for Metamim Fox, for Goat Merlin, of course, for Reach, for Pinocchio, because again, it's sort of the extension of these super aggressive 1-drops. It pairs well with Piglet to make a set of very, very aggressive 2-drops, something we haven't had, to quite this extent in previous iterations. 2 Rabbit Merlins, because really this deck is not trying to draw that many cards, and it can get pretty clunky, especially if you draw 2 of these. 4 Befuddle, of course, is a way to slow our opponents down. I'm playing a single Sorcerer Spellbook just as a way to get some extra reach. Really good if your opponent doesn't have item removal, but really, really bad in multiples. And for a deck like this, who really just wants to play a bunch of 1 and 2 drops the entire game, 3 is actually kind of expensive. And this basically costs 4, actually, because you want to play it and activate it the turn you play it. So yeah, only 1 just so we don't get bogged down with those. And then, as I mentioned previously, 4 Neverland to get some additional aggro action going. And this is the most aggressive deck we have ever seen in Lorcana. You can play out your whole hand in 3 turns. You can just do crazy, crazy, crazy things with this critical mass of 1-drops. So I'm excited to play this. I think some people might think it's a little bit funny that I'm not playing any Bare Necessities here, but I've gone for a strategy where I can kind of get under Grab Your Sword most of the time. So I'm trying to sort of win before even Grab Your Sword can stop us. Plus, I do think that Bare Necessities would end up being ink a pretty decent portion of the time in a deck like this, because you really just want to be playing threats, and you don't really have a lot of time to slow down and play Bare Necessities. I mean, the moment you take a turn off, you're quite likely to lose the game anyway, so I just don't know that it fits the strategy of the deck that well. But yeah, that's the deck. It's pretty simple. It's about as simple as you can get for a deck, so let's play some games. On the play versus Amber Ruby with the fastest of fast decks. I'm calling it Uber Aggro for now. We'll see if I keep that idea, but the idea is to just go as wide as possible, as fast as possible. Play just a million 1-drops and try to win the game in record time. And I think this hand is looking pretty decent for that. This is a deck that says, screw your board control, screw your card advantage, I'm just questing. We'll see how it works out for us. Looks like they're going to have a 1-drop here, which is, oh, Pluto. Pluto's not that scary. Alright, ink the 2-drop. We'll just go all out here. We'll consider taking out Pluto next turn with Mana Mim. Yeah, the goal is to play 1-drop on turn 1, 2 1-drops on turn 2, and then just sort of run your opponent over before they have a chance to stabilize it all. Wow, Queen of Hearts, that's really good. Disappointing. Certainly don't need 5-drop Kita. So let's do this. I'm going to pick up my Maleficent and take out their Pluto just to slow them down a little bit. They have the option of like shifting onto this Queen of Hearts to trade and draw a card, but that's not so bad for me. Just a 2 for 2. One problem with this deck is that you can gas out, and the fact that Queen of Hearts is coming back in favor is kind of disappointing. It does hurt a deck like this a little bit. All right. Well, for now, I think I'm just going to put, I was going to say put Merlin in play. I kind of still like that idea just because it fights for the board a little better and won't just die in one hit. I actually think it's totally reasonable to just put Maleficent and the location in play, though. But of course, they have the ability to take out the location. Maybe something like a Mufasa here. Ooh, Maui. Very good. Very annoying. Okay, second goat. Not so bad. I think I'm just going to play it. Keep trying to tick away with my Merlins and my Pascal. Yeah, turn 4 Maui. Turn 2 Queen of Hearts. This is a very good draw for my opponent, especially on the draw. I thought we had a very quick start, but they've managed to actually bring it back decently well. What does this Queen of Hearts do? Gives your other villains plus lore. All right. Well, I don't hate where we're at right now. If they quest, I will battle with Merlin. Helps protect my Neverland. It's good against Queen of Hearts. At this point, I actually feel pretty good about our chances, so I don't feel the need to quest too urgently. Should be pretty tough for my opponent. They're not going to be able to deal with these Neverlands, at least easily. I've got multiple threats in play. Ooh, Chernabog. Cute, but not actually that good here. Yeah. 13, 16, 17, 18. Yep, this one should be over, I think. Oh yeah, Foxmim definitely seals it. I guess I don't see any need to play into Be Prepared, but okay, not a problem. Okay, going first versus Emerald Steel. Steel deck's definitely the biggest challenge for a deck like this. We need 1-drops, so I'm going to ship actually all 5 of these cards, looking for 1-drops. I do like having Neverland and Befuddle, but the rest of those I don't think we're cutting it. And we managed to not get an amazing starting hand here. But we'll see if we can pull it out anyway. Ink, 1 Befuddle, it's unlikely we'll need 2. And of course put a location in play. Just trying to see how these 1/4, 1 Lord locations play out. It feels like it might be tough for some decks to actually challenge them down, especially when they also want to challenge down all of our characters. So with a hand like this, I like the idea of inking Madam Mim and then just sort of going wide, or wide and tall, as it were. But yeah, it's hard for a lot of early game characters to take out these 1/4s, and if they're busy taking out my 1/1s, these things sort of sit in play. They're kind of like Pascals, I think. Or at least that's kind of the way I view them. So I'm just testing them to see if we can get some value out of them. The idea being that we concentrate so heavily on the 1-drop slot that no deck can go wide enough early enough to keep up. Plus, it's a nice hedge against something like Grab Your Sword or Tinkerbell out of steel decks. Yeah, Morph not going to get the job done for my opponent, I don't think. Because we are sending that right back to hand. Yeah, it's a good start. But yeah, you can see what this deck does. Just empties its whole hand in 4 turns and then asks the opponent if they can do anything about it. Believe it or not, discard is probably not going to be super great here. And in fact, because we drew an uninkable, I'm just going to ink my Goat Merlin. There's no need to let them get value with their Prince John. Put my blue in bodyguard mode. And I think it would take a miracle for them here. Yeah, it's going to be too slow. Funny. I'll ink that again. In this case, I don't think it matters at all. There's basically no way they could take my hand, I guess, and actually deal with my board, but yeah, pretty good spot here. Obviously, the moment they remove blue, I win, so... Well, that was a nice and quick one. Okay, on the draw versus purple steel. Probably a Jafar deck. Now, this will be a real test. Can this deck win when it goes second? I like a lot of this stuff. Not Kita here. I don't think the bodyguards tend to be super great against the Amethyst decks because they have so many 3 strength characters. So I'm going to ship those for sure. I'm going to ship Madam Mim because it doesn't protect against the steel removal. And see if we can get some more 1-drops. Okay, it's a decent hand. It'll depend on what my opponent does, I think, how I open up here. Yeah, definitely a Jafar combo deck. Chernobog's Followers. Yeah, I'm gonna ink the first. Nah, Piglet's just better than Wendy. I'll ink Wendy. And I do want to lead on Lilo, because depending on what my opponent does, or if I draw Befuddle, this is sort of the most aggressive thing I can do. Now, if my opponent plays something like Snake Mim, which is pretty likely, if they play Snake Mim, I'm probably just going to put 2 locations in play. Okay. Fire the cannons. Yeah, that's actually all fine with me. Here, it's a little bit tougher. Opponent chooses not to draw a card with their followers. I guess they'll just do it next turn. That makes sense. No need to put Simba in play to battle these, because they're just going to get rid of them anyway. So what's the most aggressive I can get? Probably putting a Piglet in play. So let's do that. That gives us lines like Simba plus Kita to draw, or to get 3 lore with Piglet and protect the Piglet. Jafar, yep. And Simba. Well, I'm not at all scared of Simba. I think that will be probably be my play. I think Kita plus Simba looks like the best I can do here. I'm assuming they'll keep this around. Yeah, so they can take out my Piglet. No. That's a little greedy. I think that's a misplay on their part. Do I want this Pascal? I think Pascal is better than the location, so I'm going to say yes. In fact, it's better than Kita too. But all right, let's get it going like this. Quest with Simba and pass. Are they just like desperately trying to get a whole new world off. I mean, I just don't think playing a whole new world against me is the way you win this game if you're my opponent. Yeah. Well, let's Inkakita play. Do I play into a grab your sword that hard? Honestly, I don't like I just don't have the X3s to beat a grab your sword, so I just don't think I should even try. I don't think I will. If my opponent has grab your sword, I'm going to lose, but I think I was going to lose anyway. If they had grab your sword, they were going to take out all my characters, and then I was going to be left with not enough gas to win the game. It's kind of the sacrifice you have to make when you go second. When you go first, sometimes you're far enough ahead that you can play around something like a grab your sword, but here, it's just going to beat us. Okay, but they don't have it. Well, maybe they do. No. Wow. See, and this is rough for my opponent because now they just gassed me back up. Sure, shuffle stuff back in. No big deal. So I don't quite have enough. Let's start here. And they can get 7. Whole new world. Well, I guess a second a whole new world will do it for them. There's nothing I can do about that. Eh. Just play some stuff, I guess. All right. Whoops. Should they have quested first? They still... Still pretty far away. Okay. Well, now I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know how... Well, now they're getting close, I guess. They're all in on the combo. Wow. Crazy. I think most of the decks are not quite this all in on the combo. They could have 2 more right now, just to keep that in mind. Okay, but it doesn't matter. They would not have had it anyway, even if they had played correctly, but it was definitely close, closer than I thought it was going to be. All right, on the draw versus a Ruby Sapphire deck. We don't know exactly what they're up to, but hopefully it's a little bit slow. I'm going to keep my most aggressive characters. Maybe Snake Man pairs pretty well with Pinocchio. I'll ship Kita. Baloo might be pretty good against them. Actually, maybe I'd rather have Baloo than Snake Man, frankly. I'm going to do something like this. Don't want to get caught out with no uninkables, or excuse me, with no inkables. Hey, that's kind of an annoying card for sure. Popsicle. Yep. Well, we definitely want to hold the befuddle at least for one turn. Well, yeah, for one turn we want to hold the befuddle. I'm going to ink Piglet just because I have a Pinocchio, which plays a pretty similar role. I want to keep 2 1-drops in case I want to play 2 of them next turn. Agrabah. Hey. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play Lilo and Befuddle and just really go to town. Then we'll have some options next turn, depending on what my opponent does. They replay the Hey, okay. I kind of like the location. It's easier to protect than this Kita, I think. So what I'm going to do is quest, play Simba, which trades for Hey, and put Neverland in play. My opponent can't play Maui this turn. We've slowed them down enough, like they couldn't play Fishbone last turn, so... Feeling pretty good here. This sort of deck is just perfect for punishing people who want to play like a slow item control E-style deck. I mean, there's just nothing you can do against a start like this. Okay, well... They've sufficiently ramped, but they still can't play Be Prepared or anything next turn. So, I think we kind of just get to go all in and have no fear here. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. McDuck Manor. Not something I'm very scared of with a deck like this. Yep, it's enough. I promise. Well played. All right. On the play versus Emerald Steel. Let's see what we can do here. I like all of this 1-drop stuff. I'm going to send back the late game looking for just more early game to dump onto the board. Yeah, this will work for me. I have Kita, so I'm going to keep Shift Kita, I think. And I'll put Pascal in play first. I feel like it's the easiest thing to protect. All of these 1-drops available to me all game 1 lore, so it's not like there's a consideration that way. Yeah, and I'm not feeling the need to protect anything right now. Let's just go wide. Bucky. Okay, well. Befuddle, not so great against Bucky. I think I'm just gonna shift this Kita and get my quest on. Then hopefully I'll have my hand completely empty before Bucky can actually do any damage. A morph. Okay, well I can unsummon that, or I can befuddle that, which is nice. That's fine. If they make me discard it, they make me discard it. They probably will, but it's completely fine. I feel like we're doing well enough here. I just want to slow them down by preventing something like Shift Tinkerbell next turn. I feel like that's kind of the worst thing that could possibly happen to us. Yeah, smash on Pinocchio. That can't feel good for my opponent. That cannot feel good. Yeah, I'll get the Merlin in play. Why not? Just keep questing away. Opponent has a bunch of threats to deal with. They're varied. They can't just play like a grab your sword here. It would only take out Pascal. That's not nearly good enough. Beast, sure thing. Still getting 5 lore here. I just don't see how they get out of this. I think it's going to have to be a Tinkerbell Swords next turn. It's the only possible out they have. I'll pick up my Merlin. Okay. I can maybe hold that. Because if my opponent plays Tinkerbell, which I think is their only way out of this game, I don't want to lose my whole hand, so I think I actually will hold the snake. Yeah, I think that's the best play I have against Tink Swords. But okay, they don't have it, no, and we get there. Well, that was fun. I played about 8 games in something like 40 minutes and won them all. Yeah, the deck is still pretty reasonable, I think. If you just want to do something super linear, super aggressive to punish people for being slow and greedy, especially early on in a format when you don't really know exactly what other people are going to be bringing to a tournament, I do think that this aggro deck is a reasonable choice. As far as other thoughts, I think most of the cards I added to the deck were pretty good. The Kitas, I didn't get to see in play that often, in part because I just never needed them. I didn't play against opponents who built up much of a board against me, so shrinking their characters never seemed super useful. Not sure if that means they should not be in the deck or not. You'd probably have to test a bit more to figure that out for yourself. That said, I did really, really like the Neverlands. I think just having an absolute glut of 1-drops allows you to do some really, really powerful things in the early game. Yes, if your opponent does catch up, that means you're kind of screwed. Maybe you could find some ways to sneak some more card advantage into this deck, but I think, you know, the more card advantage you add, the more you kind of dilute the aggro plan, so it's definitely a difficult trade-off. Overall, I think this is the best deck, I guess, if you want to do like a speed run to 5 games or something, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see if this sort of deck takes a spot in the metagame. I do think there are some other options for ink combinations too that could do a similar thing, and I might try those out at some point. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.